Hey guys, it's me. Welcome back to another video. And this time I have a mic. Now, it's not the famous DJI or Rode mic, but I just got it off somewhere for like $6. So, yeah, this time there's no background noise, just me, hopefully. So, today I'm going to be doing my first ever K-drama review, so I'm really excited. And the K-drama is SLine, which is the one I recently finished, actually like 2 days ago. I started it like when it first came out because the plot was just so intriguing and like I was like, whoa. So it's basically about this main character. Like it's a girl and she can see these red lines and these red lines connect to other people. So she can see who's had sex with who. So it's like sex lines. And so I was like, this is very interesting, very original. Like I have never heard of anything like this before. Apparently it's a webtoon adaptation, so it kind of makes sense. So I was like, okay, let me watch it. And then I watched the first 2 episodes, and then I got busy with like work and school. Not school, but like work. And then like literally 4 days ago, I had time, so I was like, okay, let me watch SLine. And apparently this week was like the last airing week, and I'm like, oh, so it's only 6 episodes, very bingeable, which is something that I really liked about this K-drama. It's so like, I think because I binged it, I enjoyed it more than I would have if I didn't binge it, because that's the thing, like if you binge a K-drama, like the chance of you liking it is higher. So like my overall rating for this K-drama was a 7 out of 10, which I feel like could have been like, maybe it's higher because I binged it, but I don't know, it's just me. I still recommend you watch it first and then come back and watch this review because it is not spoiler free. Because like I'll just be talking freely about it, like yeah, and it also makes more sense if you also have watched the K-drama. So yeah, let's get right into it, I guess. Like I already mentioned, it's like a short K-drama, so it's very bingeable, and the thing I really liked is that it has like a dark tone to it. Kind of reminds me of Sweet Home. I'll get more into that, like why, later. And also Parasite, which is another K-drama, and the only reason why it reminded me of Parasite was because the female lead in both K-dramas are like young girls or young females, I guess, having like some sort of superpower or just something like that. And I really like that aspect, but it mostly reminded me of Sweet Home. And like I said, I'll get more into that later. So like I already really like told you guys the plot. There's really no like, if you read the synopsis, that's kind of like what it says. When it gets interesting in the K-drama is when we get introduced to these like pair of glasses where suddenly, because the main character, she can see these red lines, like she's been able to see them from birth, suddenly these glasses appear, and then whoever puts these on can see the red lines too. And the thing is, you kind of follow each character, not each, but like different characters throughout the show that get a hold of these glasses and like how they experience it, how they react, and like how it kind of like affects their life. It affects them negatively, and it either like, I don't know, kills them, or something bad happens, or they kill someone. And that's just like, it's funny because it's supposed to be like a curse, but for the female lead, it's not really a curse. It's something that she's been living with for her whole life, so she's kind of gotten used to it. But she always felt like not normal, obviously, because she's not normal. So she's like very reclusive. She doesn't really talk to people. She doesn't have friends in the beginning of the K-drama. She's just like very secretive. She doesn't even let people like come in and stuff. So that is like kind of adds to the mystery of the K-drama, because it makes you wonder like what really, like how did she get it. But that they don't really explain that. Like it just kind of, she was just born with it. And that is kind of my problem, because I liked that it was just her at first, and I like that when different characters got a hold of these glasses, they had different experiences, and I liked how we saw how their desires kind of took over, if that makes sense. But then all of a sudden, towards the end, the female teacher, she was apparently the main villain. So I was just like, and it became like a cult thing at the end, where they were at this like underworld, and then she tried to kill like the female lead, and then she started to stab her, and then like the blood flew, or not flew, but like the blood went upwards, and then suddenly everyone could see the red lines. And I'm like, that is such a weird ending. Like for a K-drama that started off really strong, it had one fantasy element, but it was pretty grounded. And then they suddenly made everything like super unrealistic. Like, yes, it is unrealistic to begin with, but like I said, it was a little more grounded. And then suddenly they just do like a whole 360 and they add a cult. And I hate that because it made no sense. It literally came out of nowhere. And like the villain, the female, the teacher, if she was introduced pretty early, so I knew that she was like an important character, but like, why did they make her such a big villain all of a sudden? Like, and her backstory also just didn't make sense. Like, it didn't give me enough, because this is a very short K drama. So I don't know. I just feel like if they just kept the story there where it was, like without the female, like without the villain, without the cult, without the whole, like, they shouldn't have added more fantasy, if that makes sense. Everyone being able to see the red lines added nothing to the K drama. Like a very unsatisfying ending, if that makes sense. And it was literally like the last episode too. Like up until then, I was actually enjoying it, and especially the detective, which is like another male. Like, he was a very big character. He got a hold of the glasses too, but instead of being affected by it negatively, he actually used it to his advantage, and he started solving cases using it. And some of the cases were like, I really liked the cases. Some of the cases were connected to him, and then there were some that weren't connected to him. But point is, like, I enjoyed that, like having different cases every episode. But then like they added the whole cult thingy at the end. I was like, okay, you just ruined it. Because yeah. And then another thing is like the niece. She also got a hold of the glasses, but I was so interested in her character and like the bullying arc. Like, I know the bullying is such a niche, not a niche, but such like a cliche thing in K dramas. But I really liked that plot, and I actually really liked the storyline of her and the bully. And like, but suddenly she got pushed off the roof, and then she ended up in a coma. And then we didn't get to see her until the last episode. And I'm like, oh, okay. The only positive thing about her, like the last, I guess, last episode, was her scene where her red line had disappeared because, she was assaulted by her. I don't know. Is it not her uncle, but like her not her father, but like a relative. She had been abused, not abused, but like raped by him. So after he died, that line disappeared, which I thought was kind of like not cute, but like pure, I guess, because just like made sense, because like rape is not really, it doesn't count, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't consensual. I like that part. I think it was really nice for them to add something like that, but I wish I could see more of her character, and I also really, really, really liked her acting. Like, in general, the acting was great. I will say that. That's one thing I have to say. One of the positive things about this K drama was like the acting is great. To be honest, I didn't really know what to expect because it's such a short K drama, but the acting was great. And I also really liked that we saw a bunch of new faces, even though like when I when I started this K drama, like I said, like it was a short K drama, and the new faces kind of scared me, because I was like, maybe acting is gonna be really bad, but the acting was surprisingly really good. So, and I like seeing new faces and not the same 10 actors on rotation. Bruh, 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 bruh. Because that's also very typical K dramas. You see the same people, and I get it. Like, they're good and they're very versatile, but it's like, it would be nice to see other actors. The girl that played the niece, we've seen her in Bitch X Rich, I think, and she's also really good. She's good at playing these kind of roles. And the female character, the main character, I guess, she's like from a K-pop group, I believe, but she was also really, really good. Really good, actually. Surprised by her, so I'm really excited to see more of her work. And then obviously we have the main, like, the detective, which I don't remember his name, but he was in Tomorrow. He was in, I think, Doom at Your Service, and then he was in, oh, what was he in? I don't remember, but I've seen his face somewhere. Not somewhere, but I've seen it a couple of times, so I know he's a good actor. The music was great. The, like, everything really, like lighting, everything, like editing and stuff, all the basic stuff was great. It was just the plot that kind of fell off towards the end, which is such a typical K-drama thing, and that annoyed me because it had potential. And I think also, if they had, instead of doing 6 episodes, if they did like 12 episodes and then had done like like a case each episode, it could have been done well. Or if they wanted to go with the cult storyline, they could have started with the cult storyline from the very beginning and then done that. Like, just because I feel like it was just too messy towards the end. So that was, like, I guess the biggest problem. Like, if it wasn't for the end, I would have given it like an 8.5. But the end just like docks it down to like a 7. It actually should have been a 6, because yeah, the end was just not it at all. But I'm just being nice, like I said, because I binged it. And something that I really, really liked about this kingdom, I think what really bumped it up for me, was the use of like Okay, so whenever someone got a hold of the glasses, it was very clear to me that it was their desires that kind of controlled what would happen to them, if that makes sense. Because one of the it was a woman. She was like obsessed. She wanted to be an actress, but she was obsessed with like sex, but also with this man that she worked with. And then she got a hold of the glasses, and then she could see who he had sex with, and that just made her obsession even stronger. And she ended up basically killing her. No, killing him. So it's all kind of like your own trauma and problems and issues and stuff that kind of resurfaces because of the glasses, if that makes sense. And that's why I said earlier that it reminded me of Sweet Home, because in Sweet Home, the monsters are, at least in season one, the monsters became the person's desires. So if someone was obsessed with being pretty and they were very insecure, the monster would be like ugly, if that makes sense, you know? So I like that it was interesting in that way, and I really, really, really liked Sweet Home season one. Okay, don't get me wrong. I did not like season two or three, but I loved season one of Sweet Home, and that reminded me of Sweet Home. So I was like, okay, I like it a lot already. So that was definitely something that bumped it up. Another like weak point of this K-drama was, I guess, the romance. They tried to add a little romance to this. I personally didn't feel it at all. Like, it's a very short drama. There was a lot of things going on. They in the start, in the beginning, they managed to make it work. Like I said, even though there was a lot going on with like the different cases and stuff, but then they try to throw in some romance, and I was like, okay, no romance, no thank you. Like, I think it was a romance between like the female character lead, the female lead and her little boyfriend that actually ended up dying, which was like so unnecessary. Like, that was also another thing. Like, why did he die? I'm so confused. Like, they literally just killed him off for no reason, no explanation. They just like, oop, you can't be happy. Like, honestly, I wasn't a fan of him anyways, but that was just ruthless. Like, they just like, it wasn't even killed him off. Like, they killed him off in the most disturbing way possible. Like, there are some disturbing scenes in this K-drama, I won't lie. Now, I wasn't too like phased phased, but if you are triggered by certain scenes, like sexual scenes, you know, like obviously violence, blood, stuff like that, then just a little warning. There was one very disturbing scene that I got really disturbed by it. So you can go watch it for yourself if you want, and then maybe comment down below which scene you think it is, because it was one scene that actually was like, damn, I had to pause. Like, it was really, really bad. I think obviously if they did make a season two, I'd just watch it out of curiosity, but like not of actually like out of excitement or like, oh my god, they're coming out of season two. Like, I'd just watch it because why not? But I wouldn't be that geeked. But like I mentioned, it's a very short K-drama. It's bingeable. It doesn't require that much commitment. It's also like the episodes are relatively short. They're 40 to 50 minutes long, which is pretty short for a K-drama. So I think that I would still give it a chance, because it was only like the last episode or maybe the last two episodes that kind of ruined it for me. So I would still like recommend you to go watch it. Doesn't require that much commitment. So, and I give it a 7 out of 10, like I said in the beginning. Okay, guys, so I think I've gone through everything now, and like I said, you should go watch the K-drama. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I liked it, or ish. It was okay. Probably will forget it, so I wanted to make this review like now, like day after or 2 days after I had finished it, because it's like fresh in my memory, and I knew that if I waited a week, it kind of just disappeared. And that says a lot about the drama, because I've watched K-dramas, like there are K-dramas that I watched like 2 years ago that I can talk for hours about these K-dramas. Whereas this one, like I said, I'll probably forget about. Not forget about it, but you know, like I'll probably not be able to like hold a conversation about this K-drama. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found this review to be, I don't know, interesting, insightful, whatever it might be. And I'm excited to make more reviews whenever I have time, because, you know, school, starting uni, you guys wish me luck. But I will try to be consistent. But that's what every YouTuber has ever. I'm not a YouTuber, stop. But that's what everyone who's ever done YouTube has said. Like, I'll try to be consistent, guys, and then they don't post in like 6 months. But I don't know. I'll just post when like I have time, because I don't want to like pressure myself. But I'll just post when I have time. If I've watched a K drama that I really, really want to talk about, and I'm like, why not just film it? Because I might as well. Because fun fact, I actually talked to myself. Like, literally, before I made this YouTube channel, I used to just make reviews without filming myself. Like, I'd be laying in bed just talking to myself. So now I'm like, okay. But anyways, I will see you guys next time, whenever that might be. So, bye.